You're listening to Fathers Handling Business, where fatherhood meets real talk and real solutions. Here are your hosts, Donté Witherspoon and Dwyan Marsh, ready to dive deep into the art and science of parenting. Let's get started and empower the dad in you.
Is that he does have opportunity or does have the right to take the child, pick up the child, and be involved in the schooling. He would have that right anyway, pursuant to MCL 722.30.
Yes.
Ma'am, don't shake your head unless you know the law. Or that the child be turned over to him immediately, forthwith, and that he will have the child for the 63 days that he has been denied as make-up parenting time. As a result of your failing to turn over, as this court has ordered, the court is going to remand you to the Calhoun County Sheriff, where you will remain incarcerated until such time as the child is turned over to the plaintiff.
Okay.
So you can go with the deputy. I'll have the deputy take you. He can take you to the holding tank, and then we'll see that you're going to have to make your phone call and make sure that whoever, where the child is, that the child is turned over. But at this point, you will remain incarcerated.
Oh, my goodness. So, hold on. So, it's a lot going on here. So, 63 days he went without seeing his child?
63 days. 50-50 custody.
50-50 custody.
Legal
okay.
and physical.
Okay.
Okay?
All
the
right.
mother denied this father 63 days.
63 days is wild, bro.
Seeing his father. So, and a lot of times mothers will do this to try and hurt the father. Like,
to try to hurt the father.
Okay. Like, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, I'm not going to let you see your kid. So, yes, you're hurting the father, but what the mother doesn't realize is you're hurting the child.
Yeah.
Fathers are important. The children need to see their father.
True.
There's a lot of value in fathers and fatherhood and raising children. And this mother denied the father and the child 63 days.
So 63 days he went without seeing his kid after, well, I don't like saying kid. Let's back that up. Without seeing his child, because kid is a billy goat. Without seeing his child for 63 days, and then he has 50% custody. So he's supposed to be seeing the child all the time. So now the child is going back with the dad for 63 days. The mom is going in jail for the 63 days.
63 days.
So she's going in jail for the 63 days. Wow. How did we get here?
Pride. You know what I'm saying? Pride.
Pride comes before the fall, huh?
The anger, resentment. Hurt people. So I don't know what their situation was or why they, didn't work out, whatever.
Right.
But clearly she was trying to hurt the dad by not allowing the child to see their father. And so it's, man, you can't mess with the law is changing. So forever and a day, it was almost certain that the judicial system would always side with the mother, right? But now the times are changing. The judicial system is becoming more fair in terms of parenting and custody within the father's rights, and so now we're getting to see, fathers step up. We're getting to see the judicial system seeing that fathers are stepping up and wanting to be a part of their children's lives, and they're like, all right, bet 50-50.
So in cases where one parent is found to be violating custody agreements, I know you said you had a client who was kind of dealing with this same situation. Like, what are the typical steps taken before reaching a decision like this?
Okay, so yes, I have a client, and they are going through this same exact thing.
Exactly, huh?
Exact same. 50-50 custody.
Okay, 50-50.
Physical and legal.
Okay.
Right? The mother is denying the father the right to see their child.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And I saw this clip, and I'm like, whoa. Like,
And so you sent it to him.
he
huh?
needs to see this. He needs to see this.
Sent them the click. Hey, here you go. Here you go. Take this and run with it.
And it's a great father,
Right.
For whatever reason they didn't work out, that's besides the point. Like, True. He's a great father, wants to be a part of their child's life and has that right.
Right.
And so the judge awarded, both of them 50-50 custody. So he has a right to see his child. She is denying him his right to see his child. And so, yeah, it's wild. I sent the clip, and he didn't respond for a few days.
Okay.
And then he
'Cause
finally
he was handling
responded.
business, probably.
Yeah. Oh man.
He was a father handling business.
He responded. He said, "Thank you for sending this over." Had a session with him a few days after that, and then he just laid it on me. He was like a few minutes late to the session. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. Just got back from court. Filed, this, that, and the third paperwork in order to see my daughter, in order to get in front of the judge tomorrow. Like, just all these things. He has a whole, paper trail of everything, of how he tried to, show up to the school so he can get custody of his daughter. Multiple messages.
Paper trail.
Paper trail. Even with
screenshots.
Yeah, the Talking Parents. So, Talking Parents is a court-ordered app that you use on your phone.
Really? Okay.
Yes, in order to communicate with your ex-partner, especially if you have children involved, and that's how you're trying to communicate.
Okay.
And the courts get to see everything that's in there. So they're supposed to communicate through Talking
Within the
Parents.
app.
You're supposed to respond within either, I can't remember the hours. It's either 24 to 72 hours. Respond in the app, questions or concerns or what have you, right?
Okay. All right.
And so he's been communicating with her via Talking Parents, via text message, and via email.
Oh, so he got all the paper trails.
Yes.
Huh? That's crazy. So, I mean, I hope it works out for him. We see what happened with this parent. He got his kid. But the other side of that, the flip side is, what are the potential psychological impacts on the child when one parent is jailed over custody disputes?
Yeah, that is a very, very good question.
Yeah, I mean, as a boy, you're always more susceptible or closer to your mother. In general, I know we have exceptions to the rule like you, but in general, you're closer to your mom. So we don't know if this was a boy or a girl child, but let's just assume. Well, just for argument's sake, if it was a boy and your dad put your mom in jail.
But it's not. But here's the thing: in this situation, it wasn't the dad that put the mom in the jail. It was the judge,
Obviously.
and the actions of the mother who put herself in jail.
Yes, understood as grown adults, we understand that the father didn't put the mother in jail. But as a child, right, who was not grown, let's just say that they're, under high school age, anything under high school age, even in high school,
Right.
What the child sees is they probably weren't even in the court. So what the child sees is that daddy put mommy in jail.
But here's the thing: unlucky for this mother, what this child is going to see is what we just saw on Instagram, right?
Right.
But
that's one case.
That's one case.
That's one case. So
Yeah,
let's just assume that the child doesn't have Instagram. They're younger than 11, right? Which they shouldn't be on Instagram anyway, seeing this, right? So let's just assume that's. But all they know is that I haven't seen daddy in a long time, and then now mommy's in jail. Now, does the dad say mommy's in jail? Does he even what would be your suggestion in this? So let's say if this happened to your client, right? And he came to you and said, "Okay, I did what you said. Thank you for the clip. Now she's in jail. How do I go about this? What do I tell my kid? Do I just keep it moving as if she's not in jail? Do I tell them do I tell my child that she's in jail? What would your advice as a therapist be?"
My advice is always to tell the truth to your children. I even say that with my kids. So
Always tell the truth.
yeah, tell the truth. They're gonna find out anyway. They're gonna find out anyway. Like, how many times have we told our kids to tell the truth? Don't lie to me. Tell me the truth.
Well, it's not about lying. But so you would tell them where she's at. You would advise the parent to tell.
Well, here's
them.
the thing. So it all depends on what the mom is gonna say. So the mom gets one phone call. Who is the mom gonna call?
Probably
because
not the
the
child.
Probably not the child, right?
Probably her lawyer.
We don't know,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
We
That's
don't
true.
know.
That's true.
Okay, so do we have to tell the child where the mom is? No, we don't have to tell the child.
Okay.
If they ask, "Hey, where's mom?" We could say, "Oh, we'll talk about that later."
There we go.
Right?
I like that. I like that.
But
response.
I don't. You don't want to lie.
Yeah, of course. Not
Right.
not lying. Not lying.
We could talk about where mom is later, but for the next 63 days, you guys are going to be with me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so that's what I would say.
Okay.
Because even my client was like, "Man, I don't want her to go to jail.
Right.
I just want to see my kid."
Right, exactly. But, there's consequences to all of our acts. Now, and again, the consequence for the mom's act is that she went to jail, and the consequence for the father's act is now he has to deal with the kids knowing that their dad put their mom in jail.
But it's not the
I
dad.
feel like that's even worse.
No, it's not the dad. It's not the dad putting the mom in jail.
We know that as adults, but as a child, and even from my vantage point, that's how I look at it, as the dad put the mom in jail because she didn't do what she was supposed to do. Like, that's even how I look at it as an adult. Even though I know that it wasn't his decision, obviously he can't put her in jail because he's not a judge, but the judge did it, right?
Right.
And so, obviously it could be a teaching lesson, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't do what you do. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, these are the consequences. Like, I get that, but still, it's dad putting mom in jail. That's a tough pill to swallow as a child. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's how you see it. I don't see it that way because we all have, like you said, there's consequences for our
and how
actions.
you think the child is gonna see it? You think the child's gonna be like, oh, okay, it's all good. Mommy didn't do what so she got to go to jail.
That's when you create. That's when you use this moment as a teachable moment, right? And you let them know, like, if they're old enough to know that their mom is in jail, if you decide to tell them that their mom is in jail. But again, like I said, like I would say, like, if the child asks, "Where's mom?" "Oh, we'll talk about that later." I tell my kids that all the time when they ask me questions about, like, "Oh, why didn't you and mom work out?" or "Why didn't I'm like, "Oh, we'll
Fair.
talk about that when you're a little bit older and you can understand," right?
Fair. Okay.
And so
And how did they take that answer?
they just say, "Okay." Yeah. Because they know that I don't want to lie to them.
Right.
And they also know that there are certain things that they're not ready to hear. And so I've explained that to them, just like that. Like, there are certain things you're not ready to know. There are certain things that you're not ready to hear.
I like that. There's certain things that you just it's not time for you to know yet.
Yep.
I like that. So with the preventative measures getting to this point, like, you already said that there's the parent talk. What'd you say? What's the app called?
Talking Parents.
Talking Parents. So she had plenty of opportunities to make this right?
Oh, absolutely. 63 of them.
And 63 of them. and like, what makes a parent get to this point to where they don't want their child to even see the other parent 50% of the time?
Everybody has their own reasons. Obviously, we don't know what their relationship was like, what their situation was like. She can claim one thing when it's really not that thing, or she can claim one thing and it is that thing. Well, we don't know.
I know we don't know their specific situation, but in situations that you've seen or things that you've experienced, even, like, what are some of the things that gets to this point where the parent doesn't even want to give over the other parent?
A lot of it's just pettiness. Like, they're hurt. and they want the other person to hurt, and so they figure like, I know that they really love their children, and so I'm gonna keep their children away from them. Like I've seen it happen in my own in me growing up as a child, and my mom keeping me from my dad. So like, my dad only had custody during the summer times, and then my mom would do some crazy stuff like, oh, no, you can't see him this summer because I'm gonna send him to Cleveland with my dad, and he gonna work for my dad,
Yeah.
my grandpa.
Right.
So it's just like, I've seen it myself firsthand, like,
Right.
and it's out of pettiness, my mom being hurt, and so she wants to take the one thing that my dad cares about, which is me, away from him. So I've seen it. I've been on the child side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've been on the parent side of it on that. My son was supposed to come out first summer, and his mom didn't want to send him out for the summer, and no response too. No response. I've gotten that, the zero response. So yeah, it can definitely be disheartening for. Now, what about if maybe in this situation there wasn't other kids, because that's the other thing too. Like if there's other kids involved,
Like more than one
kid, and putting her in jail is probably not going to be the best thing if she has other kids that need to be taken care of.
You mean other kids that are not his kids?
That are not his kids,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about that stuff.
Yeah, you got to think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you got to look like. This is like when you go to court and they give you a judgment. That is law.
True.
When you break the law, there are consequences. When you run a red light and there's a cop that sees you run a red light and you get pulled over, what happens? You get a ticket. You got to pay the ticket. If you don't pay the ticket, then what happens? Then there's another fine tacked on top of that. And then if you eventually don't pay that and you get pulled over again, there's a warrant out for your arrest. You will be arrested. So it's just like there's consequences to our actions.
Yeah, I mean, there are consequences to our actions, but it seems like this is an extreme case. I've never seen this before, where a judge actually sends a mother to jail. So, in saying that, do you feel like it was just this particular judge, or you feel like this is something that's happening more and more to where it's becoming a little bit more equal? I know it'll never be totally equal, but they're seeing the advantage of having the fathers.
Here's what this is my own perspective based on what I've seen in different cases. I have seen male judges just stick to the factuals. Like, there was 50%. You didn't allow him to see his kid for 63 days. Very cut and dry, black and white. All right, well, this is what the law says, and boom, you in the slammer, 63 days.
Okay.
Then there are female judges who take the things that in which you are saying into consideration, like, oh, this mother has other kids by another partner. Sending her to jail may not be feasible for the other kids, so let me fine her instead. But I don't even know if that's a law, if they can do that or not. I just know that when there's a female judge involved, especially like in my case, for instance, it went completely the other way. Like everything. I'm sitting here with evidence in my possession, and the judge was like, "Yeah, no." I'm like,
so you think this is more because it was a male judge?
I'm thinking that male judges don't take anything else into consideration. They just
Other than the facts.
Whereas I think, and I'm not saying all female. I'm not generalizing. And and really and truly, I'm just basing this on my one experience from my case.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A female black judge at that. So, yeah, did not go as it should have based on the evidence.
Got it. Got it. What do you suggest the father do? Like, if he feels like, his court ordered parenting time is not being respected.
If that father really cares about the child and really wants to be a part of that child's life, then you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what this dude did.
Yeah.
You got to do what my client did. You just got to, and that's exactly
So is
what I
there
would do.
a intermediary step in between that? Like, do you call in a mediator first, or do you just call your lawyer and go straight to
In
court?
terms of what? In terms of like
Before getting to the point where it's like, I want her to go to jail, like what are the steps before that?
I don't know this person in this Instagram clip, but I could probably guarantee you he didn't want to send, the mother of his child to jail. Mm-hmm. He probably just wanted to see his child, and he probably went through all the necessary channels in order to do that. Usually, and I'm sure it was, on talking parents first. Hey, I'm supposed to see the kids, or I'm supposed to see the children or child. Can I, come get the kid? Whatever, what have you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that didn't work. And then it usually results to, other avenues. And so that's what I would do. Like, if you're not going to let me see my child, I'm going to enforce it via law. Like, it's not like you're going to go over there and kidnap the kid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this all seems very stressful, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's stressful. You know it's stressful, right? When you're not being respected as the father, or you're not getting even your court-appointed situation. So, I mean, what are some ways that fathers can balance this stress while they're going through? Because I'm sure that it didn't go from 0 to 100. Like, we're talking about 63 days that he didn't get the father. So what is he doing in those 63 days? Like, what can he do, or what can fathers do during that time, the waiting period, basically, when they're not being respected, when they're not getting their court-appointed time, when they're like, I had a situation where I showed up at the time and the place where I was supposed to pick up the kids,
Right.
and she didn't show up. Right, so I'm
No
waiting
phone
there.
call, nothing.
No phone call, no nothing. I'm waiting there an hour, right, and then I'm calling like, "Yo, what's going on? Oh, we fell asleep. Oh, we went to another town. Oh, we went to go visit my mom." I'm like, "We're supposed to meet here at this point in time on this day, right?" So I'm sure that happened to this father,
Right.
and other fathers multiple times. So, how do we deal with that type of stress, or what, resources or things can we do in those times? Because obviously getting to the court and we're seeing the final straw, but that was after 63 days of stress.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
That was after, yo, I'm calling you. Yo, what I'm saying? I'm supposed to pick them up. Yo, I'm supposed to take them to their game. Yo, we supposed to go eat. Yo, I had plans to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
And you're not showing up, and now I've wasted money on tickets or whatever. Like, how do we deal with that type of stress?
All right, that's a really great question, and here's why. So, why do we want to be a part of our children's lives? Right, it's so that we could instill values, morals, like all these things that a father would do. I mean, mothers can do that too, but I'm saying, like, as a father,
From a father's point of view, yes.
From a father's perspective and point of view, like,
Correct.
there's just things that a mother can't do that
Correct.
a father can do, and vice versa. And so, the number one thing is that we also want our kids to know that we're not abandoning them, right? We want them to know that we are showing up for them. We want them to know that we do love them, we do care for them,
Okay.
we do want to provide for them.
Okay.
However, we're not being allowed. So,
Okay.
one of the things that I did have my client do is journal, and it's twofold. Why? Number one, you're keeping a track record of all the times that you wanted to show up or be there for your child and you were not allowed to, right? There's
that's
so
good.
many things that you wanted to teach your child. So in a day, right, all the things that you wanted to share with your child, your son or your daughter, all the things you wanted to share with them, teach them, journal it.
Okay.
That, and that's for them. But then also, you mentioned, how do you deal with the stress? Journaling also helps with that as well. It helps with the stress. It gets whatever you're feeling off your chest. Like, man, I really wanted to share this with my son or my daughter, but I'm going to put it on paper. And it's going to help me get those feelings that I'm feeling out. And it's also going to be something that they can look back and read. I'm dating it. I date in time. And now we have this, all these things that I've wanted to share with them on that particular day, but wasn't allowed to. And then I could share that with them when the time is right.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. I have to give you 2 snaps on that. 2 snaps on that, because that's good. That's something that I didn't even think of in those moments, because being prepared is always key, right?
Right.
Because when you're in those moments, how you prepare is going to show up in how you react, right? So if you're angry in those moments and you didn't prepare for that anger, then you're going to just express anger in those moments, you know. But journaling is good. One of the things that I always have done is I've always had my camera out, right? Taking pictures and taking videos. Excuse me. I remember my youngest son came up to me one time and said, "Man, I never had a birthday party." I said, "What?" And I had all the video evidence of all his birthday parties from when he was 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? And he's
Really?
like, "I've never had a birthday." What do you mean you never had a birthday party? Like, here's you blowing out candles at your birthday party. You know, and you know, a lot of those things, and you know, I have archive footage from early 2000s all the way until, you know, they were in high school. I always say I'm going to you know, organize it by years, you know, one of these days, you know what I'm saying, just so that they can look back and see it. But I have heard, you know, from my kids especially, and from other kids, is like they just don't remember their childhood for real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They don't remember all the places I took them. They don't remember all the times that I spent with them. They don't remember, you know, the because you can remember the feeling, but you may not remember the time, place, or space.
No,
you know?
you don't. And usually the stuff that they do remember are the traumatic ones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They remember when I yelled at them, or
Right.
they remember, you know, when they got in trouble for X, Y, Z. Not necessarily, you know, we were having a wonderful day and then you did something silly. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so keeping that record has been good and therapeutic for me, you know, to look back on. But I also wish I would have kept a journal, like you said, for those times when, like I said, I did show up and they didn't have a phone. Right. They didn't. This was before they had an iPhone. This was before they had any type of phone. You know, on the days when I did show up and I wasn't received. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't on me to keep the promises that were kept. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I upheld my part, but you know the other part wasn't being upheld. And on those times, I wish I would have journaled. You know what I'm saying? I wish I would have journaled my feelings, journaled what I wanted to say that day, what we were supposed to do that day. You know what I'm saying? All the plans that I had. You know what I'm saying? Whether they were big or small. You know, I was planning to spend this day with you, but I wasn't able to.
Yeah. You know, and not everybody likes to journal too. And so, like, you know, taking pictures and videos, that's another form of journaling.
Right.
Voice recording yourself is another form of journaling.
Right.
Some people just don't like to write, so even using talk to text feature on your phone,
Right.
That's helpful. Like anything where you could, you know, you can go back and show them, or you could share it with them at some point in time.
Yeah.
But I like all that, like taking pictures, video, voice recording, talk to text, like physical writing, like writing on paper, typing, like whatever it is, like as long as you can go back or you can share it with them so that they know.
Right. 100%. I think that's those things are powerful. And I would even, this is just my opinion, but I would guard against, even if they do have a phone, like I would not suggest texting them directly.
What do you mean?
Like, oh, I was supposed to see you today, but your mama didn't let me see you.
Oh, well, yeah, you don't want to speak negatively about
Yeah,
the
you
other
never want to
person.
speak negatively about that person, but also like if you are expressing your feelings that way, the mom can just delete it.
Oh, yeah, the
You know
mom
what
can
I'm saying?
delete it, but you're not like, that's never helpful when we're saying anything negative about the other person.
Well, I don't even mean if you're saying anything negative. I would just mean like texting them your feelings. Or, oh, we were
Yeah.
supposed to go so
Yeah,
so
they're
today. We were
not supposed to be the
do.
keeper of our feelings and our
Yeah,
emotions.
yeah, exactly. I saw something. I don't remember what show or what movie it was, but it was a movie or something to where, like, the daughter was so mad at the father the whole time, right? And then, she finally found him and was like, "Why weren't you there?" And she was yelling at him. He was like, "Wait a second." So he went and grabbed this book and was like, "Look, I was here at your recital. Here, I was there. I wrote you this letter here. Your mom didn't let me give you here." You know what I'm saying? And like he just went through her whole childhood and was like, "I was always there. Your mom just didn't let me see." And so our kids have a very different perspective than
Oh,
our
man.
perspective,
Absolutely.
right?
Like, we all have different perspectives of how
Of every
we view
situation.
of how we view ourselves and how we view other people.
Right.
Like, man, it's wild.
Yeah, so your kids are gonna have a different perspective. So I thought that was actually dope. You just made me think of that. I can't remember what movie that was, but it was one of those situations where the dad was like, "I was always around, but
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to be around you." You know what I'm saying? But I was there. I got the pictures. I got the program from your dance recital. You know what I'm saying? I
Yep.
was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so the perspective, and as they get older, their perspective will be able to change and or altered a bit once they see it from a grown up perspective.
Right.
Right, going back to what I was saying earlier about how is this child going to digest this overarching thing that without all the details, just the overarching dad put mom in jail.
I think it all depends on how it's presented. If whether or not the mother tells the child that, hey, I'm going away for a little bit, or if the mother uses their one phone call to share with their mom, whoever is going to get the child to their father. Hey, I'm going away for a little bit. I don't know. It all depends on how it's presented to the child via the mother, or if the father is willing to do that or wanting to do that. Maybe he's not. It all depends. And so, yeah, like if the child learns that their mom is going to jail, they're probably going to have questions as to why.
Right.
And maybe I don't know. Maybe they don't lie and they tell the truth. Well, mom was supposed to allow you to see your father, and she didn't, and because of that, the law states she has to go to jail for X amount of time.
I just think that's heavy.
That is heavy.
For any child to have to deal with, to have to hear, to have to. Yeah, that's tough. That's tough for me because like I feel, I guess, happy for the father, right? When watching that clip, like, yeah, the you know what I'm saying, but also I feel sad at the same time for the child because eventually, even let's just say, like you said, the child is going to see this on Instagram,
Yeah.
right? Like we saw it. Even if he doesn't see it today, he sees it
Eventually.
eventually,
Yes.
right?
1,000%.
That's still going to hurt.
It's going to hurt, but the child is going to know the truth also.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. I mean, yeah, they're gonna learn the truth, but it's still gonna hurt
And bro,
that dad sent mom to jail.
But I think that you're viewing that from your perspective. We don't know this. We don't know this child, and we don't know how this child is going to perceive the situation. What if the child has been wanting to see their father and was like, "Man, when can I see my father?"
But at the expense of mom's going to jail?
And then he sees this clip and says, "Well, yes, you went to jail because you didn't let me see my dad."
Yeah, but that's still your mom, bro. Like, even
Man,
if
you
your
ju- you
mom
ju-
went to
look,
jail,
y-
even
yeah.
if your mom went to jail, how would you feel if your mom went to jail? Like retroactively, they found out, they listened to Father's Handling Business and found out your mom didn't let you see your dad,
asking
and now
the wrong
now
person.
she got to go to jail for 3 months. Right now, I'm talking about today in 2025. Your mom got to go to jail. Like, how would you feel about your mom going to jail? Even though you and your mom don't got a good relationship, like, how would you feel as your mom?
That's what I'm saying. You asking the wrong person.
I'm asking you. No, I'm
You
asking the
ask-
right person.
You asking the
So you, even as a grown adult with kids with a mom, like, you wouldn't feel some way about your mom going to jail.
Yeah, I would feel a certain way.
How would you feel?
Happy. I said you asking the wrong person.
That's wild. That's wild. I feel like once she actually got to jail, I think you would feel different. I think you would feel different.
I remember my mom going to jail, and me and my dad having to bail her out. Mm-hmm. And this is man. I probably shouldn't put this out there, but whatever, it happened.
Yeah.
She was on something. I don't know what it was, but it had her flipping out, hallucinating, thinking that there was a Black Panther, not an actual
snap.
human being Black
Not
Panther,
T'Challa.
but a real Black Panther in her house. So she was arrested for running down the street with scissors in her hand.
Chasing
Bro.
the Black Panther?
Yep, or running from one. I don't know.
Okay.
So, and mind you, I'm like 3-4 years old.
And you
something like
remember this at 3 years old?
I
That's
tell you,
wild.
I remember all the traumatic experiences in my life.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember my mom going to jail.
Got you.
Not that I was happy back then, because
Right.
I wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, but I was just like, oh, okay. Like, kids, stay off drugs. Parents, stay off drugs.
Right.
So, man, when I say you asking the wrong person with this situation about my mom specifically, you asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. All right. Now, with that backdrop, knowing that you've already seen your mom in jail since 3, right?
Yeah.
That's a little different. I still feel like you would feel differently even now. I feel in my heart of hearts, I feel like in your heart of hearts, you would feel differently if your mom was in jail over anything, really. You know what I'm saying? But I get what you're saying. I see that look on your face. I see that look. I know y'all can't see the look on his face, but the look is like, yeah, right. That's his look right now. But for any average son-mother relationship or even daughter-mother relationship, depending on the age, seeing your mom struggle in any way, right? Like, I'm dealing with, I was very honest with my kids, and, I'm dealing with my kids feel like, I made their mother struggle, right? Mm-hmm. So they're mad at me. You know what I'm saying? Because they feel like I made her struggle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so me sending her to jail would have been, my kids probably would have tried to shoot me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like
especially you got all boys too.
Yeah,
so
I got all boys. So
mama's boys.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure that they would, I don't know this for sure, but I'm pretty positive my boys would have tried to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? At least my younger two. My older one, he kind of understands and he sees it from a different perspective. Like, oh, well, my dad was trying to do X, Y, Z, and okay, I know how my mom is, type of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my kids would be the same way. Like they're both. My son is a mama's boy for sure. And my daughter, like she loves her mom.
So you feel like if you put them in jail, and I know I'm saying it as you putting that, but I'm coming from an adolescent, prepubescent point of view, right?
Right.
Not a fully fledged human. I understand consequences and all that kind of stuff. You feel like if this happened to you, right? Because it very well could happen to you, right?
Right.
And you put their mother in jail, how do you feel your kids would react?
Yeah, I think they would not be happy. And my kids are they're very smart. And if you explain something to them, they'll understand. Like, man, like this is what I think how my children will respond. They were like, all right, yeah, you're explaining to us what happened. We know, mom didn't allow us to see you, and so in order to see us, you had to do everything in your power via, the law, the judicial system. But look, now she's in jail. She's gonna lose her job. She's gonna lose the place where we live, and now we're not. So they will also see it from that perspective,
Right?
And they will be pissed,
Right.
yeah.
See that now we get into what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. See, like that's the other side of it that I feel like is the sad part, because you're right. 63 days is 2 months and some change.
Yeah.
So that means that she can't work. She can't pay her rent and or mortgage. So that means that she's going to lose her job and her place of residence.
Yes.
So when she gets out after those 63 days, she's going to have to start all over again, right? And that is devastating.
It is.
That's devastating. So, like I said, so going back to my original point, like even though it sounds cool, when you really think about it, that's not the best course of action
So what is the best course of action?
now, that I don't know.
I
don't know.
know.
I don't think her going to jail, because of everything that you just said, I don't think that her going to jail for 63 days is justice, right? Like, that's not justice. Like, him having the kid for 63 days, sure. Like, him having the kid, cool. Her going to jail for the weekend or having community service on the weekends, you know what I'm saying? Or after school, like her doing 1,000 hours of community service, that I'm cool with. But her actually going to jail, like you said, losing the job,
Yeah.
losing the house, losing the car,
Yeah.
like all of the bills are not going to be paid for 63 days. That's 2 months and some change.
So
bro.
what you asked? What was your question? What's
My question is, what is a better course of action rather
better
than
course
jail?
of action?
Yeah.
And I know the best course of action.
Let's hear it.
People, the best course of action in this situation is for the mother to allow the father to see their child.
I knew you was going there. We know that. That's not what we're talking about. Obviously.
That is exactly what we're talking
No,
about.
obviously the best course of action is prevention. Obviously.
Right.
Like, the best course of action for not being obese is don't get fat in the first place. Like, we know that. Like, go to the gym and work out, like eat healthy. Like, we already know that. Okay, but now we have, 70% of Americans are obese already.
Right.
Okay? So we're past that point. So we're already to the point where now she has violated you as a father for 63 days, and you want to take legal action. Now, her going to jail, we already know that her going to jail, from your example, her going to jail is the worst possible thing that could happen to her life and to your child's mother, because that doesn't only affect her, that affects your children, because now when it's her 50% of the time, they're in a homeless shelter, right? You don't want your kids in a homeless shelter, right?
No, you don't.
So what is the other course of action?
I don't have the answer.
Oh, okay,
I really don't.
okay,
I mean, other than the mother upholding her end of the bargain
Right.
and allowing the children to see their father.
Right.
I mean, like we said in the beginning of this episode, is just there's consequences to our actions.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there's consequences to the action.
Because we can't take the mother to court so that we can see our kid, but then not be okay with what the judge ruled.
Right, and that's why I was saying, like, what are the steps that we can do before it gets to that? Because of what you just said right now is like, if this happened to you and you took your ex-wife to court, and she had to go to jail for however many days. Let's just, even if it's 30 days, even if, you know what I'm saying, but 63 days, we'll just use that. If she had to go to jail for 2 months and some change, bro, like you said,
Yeah.
her life is going to change when she gets out.
Drastically.
And she's not going to be able to get a job because now she's now she has jail time on her record.
Yeah. It's not a felony, but
That's not a felony?
nah.
What is it?
That's a misdemeanor.
You can go to jail for 2 months for a misdemeanor?
Yeah, because he allotted the 2 months because that's how many days she.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, so all right, so it's not a felony, but it is on her record, and she lost her job. So as she,
And this is all speculation. We're just
this
saying
is all
that
this is
we
all
don't-
speculation.
We don't know
but
that she lost her job. But
we don't know, but we're saying what we're talking about your situation.
Yeah.
If this were to happen to you specifically,
Yeah.
your ex-wife would lose her job, correct?
Correct.
She would probably lose her car and her house as well, correct?
She won't lose her car because I paid that off.
Okay, well, look at you. She won't lose her car, but she'll probably lose her place of residence, right? Because now she's 2 months behind on
Yeah.
rent, right? And I mean, let's assume
Unless she got some money saved
unless she
up,
got
or she got family
unless she got
members.
some money saved up,
Yeah.
right? But okay, let's say at least she would lose her job because she'd be gone for 2 months. This is not maternity leave. This is jail time.
Jail time.
Right, so she would at least lose her job, right? Maybe not her house because she got savings, but then she may lose her house because the savings might run out while she's looking for another job.
Maybe.
So, but that doesn't affect her as much as it affects your kids,
Right.
And that is the point that I think that
Unless she says, "All right, well, you got to have the kids because I ain't got no place to live."
she's not saying that.
I know. She ain't.
Like even this other lady, like she did all this to keep her kids away from the parents. She's not going to be like, well, while I get myself back together for the next 6 months, they're just going to stay with you. Like, I mean that is very positive thinking. Like let's hope that happens. But in reality, you know, that affects your kids more than it affects.
And that's what these adults don't realize is that all of this affects the kids way
100%.
more than they think it's affected either one of the
100%.
adults. It affects the kids.
100%.
Like the kids have no stability. Like when you pull these type of tactics, like you take all that away. You take the continuity of care away. You take the consistency away. And as I mentioned before in past episodes, like children are pattern seeking since, you know, birth. Like we're seeking patterns. We're seeking, you know, safety, like security,
Factuals.
all this. And so when you're not doing what you're supposed to do as a parent, then you're putting your children at risk.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Point blank.
That's what it is.
Point blank, period. Bow, bow, bow. All right, so put a bow on this. So the best course of action is for everybody to do what they're supposed to do as far as whatever the court has ordered. And, you know, the parents, you know, if you got the 50%, let the child be where he's supposed to be 50% of the time.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, we know that's the best course of action. But as I said before, if that's not always happening, what are some steps that can happen before it gets to court?
Right. I mean, the best thing is always make sure you keep a paper trail. Make sure you are reaching out. Do the journaling, or whatever form that looks like for you, so that eventually you can share that with your child or children. That's important. Because at the end of the day, like you could, so let's say you don't want your ex-partner to go to jail, so you don't want to go to court.
Right.
What you're doing is risking your time with your children. Like,
Okay.
because they're never going to let you see your child unless you go to court,
Right.
right? But you don't
Right.
want her to you don't want her to go to jail.
Correct.
So it's like, you know, it's a catch-22. It's like I'm never going to see my kids, or she has the potential of going to jail. Which one is?
Well, never is a mighty long time. So we're not gonna say never.
I'm not gonna
but-
say never, but we won't know because it's been 63 days thus far, and
Right.
she's not letting me see my kids. So
Right. I mean, before it gets to 63 days, like, is there somewhere that they can reach out to, somebody who they should be reaching out to besides, obviously keep in prayer 100% of the time. But, would they reach out to somebody like you? Are you able to reach out to the other parent? Is that a thing?
that's not a thing. Not in my profession.
Okay.
No, I mean the best course of action maybe to go try and see a mediator before you go in front of a judge.
Exactly.
To see if you can work things out.
Yeah, mediation.
Yep. I mean I would say that's the best bet.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know some things that you have seen or some things that we're missing here.
Things that you've experienced yourself.
Things that you've experienced
if you're
yourself.
willing to share that.
Let us know in the comments. We appreciate y'all listening. This is Fathers Handling Business with your boy Donté, and I'm Callie, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.